Secrecy, and I'd like everybody to remember this, secrecy outside constitutional constraints, corruption, and failure are inevitable. Government itself is going to go bad every time. That's one of the genius things the Founding Fathers knew after all the research and history they looked at. Government will go bad every time. People in powerful positions of government will go bad every time. Secret government goes really bad over time because there's no accountability. You take anybody with no scruples or ethics or some sort of accountability, they're going to go bad. It's human nature. This is some of the corruption that has happened because of secrecy. Do you remember Pearl Harbor? Now, they said, we're creating the CIA because we don't want another Pearl Harbor. You've probably heard that before. Did you know that FDR had received hard intelligence that the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor? Before it happened, he removed the defensive ships from Pearl Harbor that could have stopped that attack, held the intelligence along with Winston Churchill, and allowed that attack to happen. Now, if you don't believe that, I have an intelligence hour program where I brought retired Admiral Ace Lyons on, former commander of the Pacific Fleet, interviewed Ace on this, and he said, bullseye. That's exactly what FDR did. So we got this right out of the horse's mouth. So even the creation of the CIA is based on a fallacy. They could have prevented Pearl Harbor. 2,700 Americans, I think, something like that, died in Pearl Harbor, and they went into a war that probably was unnecessary. I understand the Japanese, according to Ace, Admiral Lyons, Japanese tried to surrender, I think, 5 times, and it was ignored, and they pushed the war forward anyway. Pearl Harbor was a myth. Iran, the Iran we have now was started when the CIA, the Iranian government accepted by the people, it was a peaceful government, almost an ally, but the Iran took control of all of the oil and gas pipelines in the country of Iran, which was a lot, and took it away from the British and away from the Americans and nationalized the oil system in Iran. So the CIA, along with some of the U.S. corporations, said, no, 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 we cannot have the Iran having power over this oil. So the CIA went into Iran, staged a coup, got riots in the streets, people were killed. That government was overthrown, and guess who replaced it? Ayatollah Khomeini, and the creation of Hezbollah took its place. And now, what do we have now? The Iran and the nuclear deal was started with a CIA coup in the beginning over a government that was not trying to hurt anybody, started with a coup that removed a peaceful government to get the oil and the gas. Research it. It's there. And the CIA created the problem we have with Iran right now because of an illegal, unconstitutional operation. Afghanistan. We went into Afghanistan against the Soviets. Remember that? That was back in my days. And we taught the Mujahideen, radical Islamic cells, we taught them how to blow up cars, how to build bombs, how to shoot missiles, stingers, and the whole shebang. Taught them all that stuff. And after the Soviets pulled out, do you think the Mujahideen stayed faithful to the United States? No, that's not who they are. What happened? They created ISIS. Well, originally they created Al-Qaeda, which morphed into ISIS. But out of Afghanistan, the Mujahideen, once the U.S. had pulled out, created Al-Qaeda, came back around, boom, and became our enemy. Started by a CIA operation that, in intelligence circles, we call that blowback. When you do an operation thinking that you're a real big dog and then it all goes wrong and comes back the exact opposite way, that's pretty much the history of the CIA, if you read through some of these operations. Essentially, the CIA is responsible for the creation of Al-Qaeda. That is not an understatement. Okay? The fall of the Soviet Union, I was there. It was a complete surprise to the CIA. The CIA they had no idea the Soviet Union was about to fall. This is the most powerful intelligence agency of the world. The top of the evolutionary heap is what we thought of ourselves. Above the little people. And when you get that kind of arrogant, narcissistic mindset, you start doing stupid things. So when the Soviet Union fell, the CIA was like, oh, what just happened? They had no idea. They completely missed it. Iraq. The CIA, many people think it was intentional because they had a vendetta against Iraq, provided false intelligence to the President of the United States that led us to one of the worst military moves in United States history. Then we have Libya. We ran guns into Libya. We didn't like Muammar Gaddafi, although he was giving us intelligence on Al-Qaeda. He destroyed his weapons of mass destruction. He told us, hey, if you want to take over Libya, I'll move into a safe haven country. If you want, I'll get out of it. I'll do anything you want. But Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, and I'm not making a political statement, They committed what was a de facto assassination, and they pushed for his murder anyway to overturn that government, which is now in the hands of radical Islamicists. Largely Al-Qaeda and Al-Fuqra and others have taken control of Libya, and it is an absolute mess, and we've lost total control, and it is now connected to ISIS and the Free Syrian Army up in Syria. Another mess. 9/11. Don't have time to go off on this one, but I can tell you this. The CIA had direct information before 9/11 of the alleged hijackers because they were assets. They knew who they were, but they refused to provide the information to the FBI. After 9/11 happened, they were the only federal agency to refuse to provide any information about what the CIA knew before the attack. Just flat out refused. Said, nope, not going to do it. It's classified. And the 9/11 Commission was never able to put that in the report. We could spend a few hours on that one. There have been massive intelligence failures within the CIA. You would laugh if you knew what they were. Massive intelligence failures that people will never know about because they're secret. If they did know about them, the place wouldn't exist. So there's a lot of failures that people don't know about because it's a classified complex. So corruption and failure are inevitable whenever there is a secret form of government. It is the nature of the beast. Not an understatement.